Eddie Hearns. Yo, Eddie. Yo, Eddie boy. Bitch, call Al. Stop calling me. The fucking look like I don't fucking make fights, you stupid ass queer. You make the fights if you want to make it, all right? Holler at me later.
What's going on, you guys? So Jermall Charlo wants to become undisputed at 160 pounds. But does he have enough time? Jermall Charlo, boxing fans been wondering what's going on with Jermall Charlo. We've been waiting to see what what's going on, you guys. So Jermall Charlo wants to become undisputed champion at 160 pounds. He says it's not him. He says that he's been overlooked in the division. And yeah, I got an article here, and sometimes these guys be a little bit opinionated on their views. Sometimes they be maybe seem a little biased to some, but if you can look past all that, there's a lot of truth into what these guys are saying. And yeah, we were supposed to see Jermall fight Masalecki. It didn't happen on Juneteenth, and now it's not certain when Jermall Charlo is going to be entering the ring again. But let me read here. It says, the big Charlo, as some of boxing fans refer to as Jermall, failed to take the initiative to battle WBO middleweight champion Demetrius Andrade when he had the chance to fight him. The saga between the Charlos and Andrade been a long one, and it's looking like neither Charlo is truly interested in facing Boo Boo Andrade. Demetrius Andrade been a champion for a long time. He's undefeated. You would think at this point Jermall Charlo would go ahead and try to make a fight with Demetrius Andrade just to get this thing over with and to close the door on this chapter once and for all. However, nah, we putting him on the black card. He ain't getting a fight. He pulled out a fight years ago. My brother, do this, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, how you gonna become undisputed champion if you're not willing to fight this guy, bro? Right? Charlo's career has significantly outshined Jermall's. And the reason for that is he's been willing to take more significant risk. It's not necessarily that Jermall lacks his brother's talent. And that's true. For years, Jermall has been somewhat in Jermall Charlo's shadow, right? But now things are a little different, right? Jermall Charlo is now looked at by many as the big Charlo. He is the man at 154 pounds, the undisputed champion, and he has just entered on many people's pound for pound list. He should be on everybody's pound for pound list, in my opinion, but we know how the politics of boxing go. Then it continues. It says, at 32, Jermall might not have enough time to become the undisputed champion at 160, and it's not worth it. IBF WBA middleweight champion Gennady Golovkin will likely retire after he fights Canelo Alvarez in their trilogy match September 17th, unless he beats him. And that's true. If Canelo Alvarez beats Triple G will likely be retiring at 40-some years old. The belts will be scattered about like Dragon Balls, and then you will have to contend with the politics of boxing. If the belt ends up on between two guys that's fighting for a vacant title that's on the zone, it may be even harder for Jermall Charlo to get those belts, right? To unify the division, to collect the belts that Triple G has dismissed, right? If Triple G ends up retiring, if he loses to Canelo Alvarez. This is all situational, right? It's all circumstantial. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. This is just a possibility, right? And then Jermall says this, quote, I'm getting overlooked right now in the division. It's not me, y'all. I'm the 160-pound division. I'm the 160-pound champion. Then the article guy says, Golovkin isn't going to waste his time fighting a guy that doesn't have much of a fan base like Jermall Charlo and competes on a different network than he does on Showtime. And yeah, that's possibly true, man. We haven't seen anybody in the middleweight division as far as big name guys do cross-promotional fights. We just haven't seen it, and it's highly likely not going to happen. It don't seem like Showtime is willing to let Jermall cross, and it don't seem like Jermall himself is willing to cross over to the zone, and vice versa. Now, we've seen the Jaime Munguia situation, how that fell apart. I think they really need to revisit that, right? Then it says, quote, where are all the other belts at? This is from Jermall. I want all the belts in the division like my brother. I want to be able to unify and become one of the best middleweights in history. But we have yet to see that from you, Jermall. Boxing fans, I mean, it sounds so good. It sounds perfect. However, when we look back, the last time we seen was over 2 years ago against Juan Montiel in a fight that you didn't necessarily look good against, bro. You know, you didn't look good against this guy. You didn't look good. You didn't look good in the fight, and we haven't seen you in almost 2.5 years, bro. So how are we supposed to believe that you want to be one of the best middleweights in history when you haven't been taking any significant risk in boxing, right? Then he says, the article guy says this. Suppose Jermall was ambitious like his twin brother Jermall. In that case, he'd quit the 160 division pronto and move up to 168, where he could pressure undisputed super middleweight champion Canelo to fight him. For Jermall to put pressure on Canelo, he must beat a top name like David Benavidez or Dave Morrell. And that's highly likely true. You know, it is unfortunate that certain guys got to jump through hoops to fight Canelo Alvarez, and other guys don't. Canelo Alvarez can pick and choose to fight whoever he wants, and that's just what that is. It don't matter who he beat. It don't matter what he's done. Canelo Alvarez is in charge of dictating who he wants to fight. And if he don't choose to fight you, well, then that's just who he don't want to fight. And that's just how Canelo's been rolling for some years now, man. I don't even know if Charlo was to beat Benavidez, will Canelo still fight him? I don't know. I don't really think so, right? And not to mention the PBC deal. With Canelo Alvarez, he chose to go the Beaver route instead of the lucrative PBC route, where it was Errol Spence, Benavidez, and Charlo on the table. Very lucrative deal. He didn't take it. So we can't blame Charlo for that one. However, some time ago, it seemed like Charlo was on the fence about fighting Canelo. He was halfway off it. He wanted to fight Canelo. Where you at? You scared, Cinnamon? And all this stuff. But then Jermall Charlo comes out and says that he gave hints that his brother was scared of Canelo Alvarez. So I don't know what's going on with that, right? Then it says, unfortunately, the only guy that Jermall is interested in fighting if he moves up to 168 is Canelo. And that's not going to happen because the Mexican star is telling him to earn that fight by facing Benavidez, which he has no interest in doing. And yeah, it seemed like he's really, he's putting a lot of parameters on that fight. He got to take the shot. He's too young. He got to do this. Oh, we'll do it next year. I mean, there's so many excuses when it comes to fighting David Benavidez. Let's be honest, right? So many excuses. I mean, I don't know if that fight's going to happen. Do I think it's going to happen? I highly doubt it, right? Jermall Charlo don't seem to be too interested in fighting that guy. However, when he was mentioned, the one guy he do want to fight in boxing, he looked right at the camera and said, I want to fight Terrence Crawford. But when it comes to these guys, oh, well, he's on the wrong side of the street. I'm not a matchmaker. My management make the fight. I'll fight. He's just all over the place, right? Then it says, Jermall expects a Canelo fight to plop on his lap, brought to him by the forces of gravity. In other words, Jermall doesn't want to get off his backside and earn a fight with Canelo by beating Benavidez or Morrell Jr., which would put him in position, right, if he was able to fight one of those guys who are on the same side of the street. He wants the fight to be given to him by passively based on his wins against little-known opposition at 160. One great example of Jermall fighting up secure opposition was his recently scheduled June 18th fight against Miles Selecki. And yeah, that fight has been scrapped due to back injury. Jermall allegedly pulled out due to back injury. Now that fight has been postponed. We don't know if it's even going to happen at all at this point. And yeah, maybe it got pulled because the fans' reception to that fight wasn't a good one. The tickets probably wasn't really moving for that fight, so they decided to scrap the fight. It wasn't a good fight, and the boxing fans were throwing tomatoes at Jermall Charlo once they heard about it. Miles Selecki is a guy that Demetrius Andrade and Danny Jacobs beat years ago. He's a very tough guy, game guy, but it wasn't somebody that people want to see Jermall in the ring with at this particular time. Then it says, if Jermall wants the Canelo contest or to become undisputed at 160, what is he doing fighting guys like Miles Selecki, Juan Montiel, and Dennis Hogan? Yeah, he's right. It's pretty clear that Jermall is wasting his time fighting once a year against weak opposition, and he's never going to become undisputed at 160 at this rate. So yeah, Jermall Charlo got to step on the gas, man. He's been holding on the brake for over 2 years now, and it's time for him to step on the gas. At 32 years old, if you really want to be undisputed at 160, you have to step on that gas. And a good start will be to go after guys like Demetrius Andrade, a guy who's standing in the middle of the street with his WBO belt in his hand talking about what's up. You need to go after that guy to become undisputed, bro. You have to go after these champions to be good. You have to go after these champions to become undisputed. You have to press on the gas, Jermall Charlo. Like, subscribe, holla at your boy. Peace out.